Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Reeves. For those of you who don't know me, I teach first grade at Jackson, and my classroom is located down in Community 3, right next to Mrs. Torrey's classroom. And today we're going to travel with Rattenborough to South America. We live in North America, right about here in the United States, and we're going to travel down to South America. We are going to take a trip to a tropical rainforest called the Amazon Rainforest. The Amazon Rainforest is more than 1.4 billion acres, and 60% of that is located in Brazil. But before we begin, we are going to go over some vocabulary words. So, canopy, your turn. Do you know what a canopy is? A canopy is the top layer of the forest formed by the branches and leaves at the tops of the trees. The canopy of the forest shades the plants and animals below. Canopy. Our next word is colonies. Your turn. Colonies are a group of the same kind of animals or plants living and growing together. So for example, there were several ant colonies in his backyard. Colonies. Dense. Your turn. Do you know what dense means? Dense means thick. The rainforest is very dense because of the many plants that grow and live close together there. Dense. Humid. You might have heard this word a lot used around summertime. Humid. Your turn. Humid means wet and damp, containing a high amount of water or water vapor. The air is often sticky and humid on a hot summer day. Humid. And our last word, patterns. What does patterns mean? Patterns are repeated shapes or designs. It is fun to find patterns in artwork. So now we're going to travel with Rattenborough to the Amazon Rainforest. Hello there, Rattenborough reporting from a fascinating habitat, a habitat that has the greatest variety of plants and animals of any habitat on Earth. Welcome to the tropical rainforest. Tropical places are wet and warm. A rainforest is a thick forest of plants that stay green year-round. So, a tropical rainforest is a warm, wet, thick forest of plants that stay green year-round. There are tropical rainforests in many places around the world close to the equator. But the one we are visiting is called the Amazon Rainforest. It is in South America and is the largest tropical rainforest on Earth. Remember, it's more than 1.4 billion acres. The Amazon Rainforest is so dense that a rat like me could easily get lost. Remember, dense means thick. The plants in the tropical rainforest are thick because there are so many growing closely together. It is hot and very humid here. The temperature is always very warm, and it rains heavily all year long. Because of the warm temperature and rain, the air feels wet or humid. My fur is feeling very wet and sticky, and it's a good thing that I brought my umbrella. There are between 80 and 240 inches of rainfall here every year. That makes this one of the wettest places that you can find on land. Here you'll find a picture of a dense jungle. Dense means thick. Temperate, deciduous forests, which you learned about last time, have broadleaf trees that lose all their leaves in the fall. The Amazon rainforest also has broadleaf trees, but the main difference is that most of the trees here stay green all year long. The evergreen trees in this tropical rainforest replace their leaves gradually throughout the year as the leaves age and fall, so that the trees always look green and never have bare branches like the trees in the temperate deciduous forest. Because the climate here is the same all year round, plants do not need to slow down for cold winter weather. And the animals that live here always have a good supply of food all year round too. All right, let's find the Rainforest Canopy. look around. The trees of the rainforest are so tall that they grow as tall as 13-story buildings, or as tall as very, very tall buildings or skyscrapers in large cities. And some grow much taller than that. I'm standing in a tree right now, and as you can see, the trees grow so thickly and so close together that from above, you can only see a canopy of thick green leaves. You can't see the forest floor at all. A canopy is something that blocks out sunlight. In a tropical rainforest, the canopy is the highest layer of plants formed by the tallest trees' leaves. So because the sunlight can't get through the canopy of leaves, everything underneath them is really dark. I've brought a flashlight to help me see things down here. Do you have your flashlight ready? This is a picture of a raindrop you can see at the end of the leaf. The plants in the Amazon rainforest have adapted to this climate in many ways. Because it's so dark in the rainforest underneath the canopy, most plants have large leaves so they can catch as much light as possible. Many of the plants have waxy leaves with the ends that are tapered to help the water drip off of them, like the water running off my umbrella. All these things hanging down, those are called vines. Many types of vines grow in the rainforest. Vines are climbing plants that grow on trees or wind themselves around tree trunks. Many animals use the vines growing among the trees, almost like sidewalks and ladders, to cross from one tree to another. The rainforest floor is a very shady place, which means it is a good habitat for mosses and fungi that don't need very much sunlight. If you can believe it, there are even some plants that don't need any light at all to grow. They grow on the forest floor and get their energy from the rotting leaves instead of the sunlight. I'm way up in a particular type of tree found in the Amazon rainforest called the Capac Tree. So high that you won't be able to see me. The Capac Tree is one of the tallest trees around. The Capac is a very long trunk, and its branches and leaves form a canopy over the plants and animals below, making it a good shelter for animals like birds, snakes, and monkeys. So this is the Capac Tree. Now we're going to learn about some of the animals that you might find in the Amazon rainforest. There are also many different kinds of animals that call the Amazon rainforest home. Many types of interesting and colorful birds, frogs, insects, reptiles, and other animals live in the trees and other plants of the tropical rainforest. These huge toucans use their large beaks to cut fruit from the branches and to eat lizards as well as other birds. So this right here is a toucan. Macaws, which are a kind of parrot, travel in groups and use their hooked beaks to break into hard nuts and fruits. So these red birds are macaws. And you don't want to get too close to the poison arrow frog right up here. It's really colorful, which has poisonous skin around to protect it from its predators. I'm back in the Capac tree, one of the very tallest trees in the forest, to see what kinds of animals call this habitat home. What is a habitat? Do you remember? Great job! Over there, I can see a squirrel monkey. The squirrel monkey is a very friendly little animal, and it shares a lot of things in common with squirrels that live in the temperate deciduous forests. The squirrel monkey is very small and has a very long, thin tail that it uses to help balance. It has strong legs that it uses to jump and run, and claws which help it climb up and down trees and vines. In fact, squirrel monkeys are so good at traveling by leaping and running along branches that they hardly ever touch the forest floor. Isn't that monkey cute? The squirrel monkey is an omnivore. It eats insects, fruits, and flowers, and spends most of its time during the day moving around the forest to find food. The squirrel monkey has excellent eyesight, which it uses for finding small insects, fruit, and berries growing among the green leaves of the tropical rainforest trees. Squirrel monkeys live in large groups, making it harder for their predators, eagles, and snakes to get them. Now, this monkey is acting a little strange, and experience has told me that this kind of behavior usually means there's trouble on the way. Yes, look who's coming. Some kind of snake. Snakes always tend to eat rats. So I'm going to climb a bit higher and take a look from a distance. Are you ready? Wow, look at the size of this snake. It's a boa constrictor, one of many kinds of snakes that live in the Amazon rainforest. It's a pretty big snake. This one is about 13 feet long. Boas can have slightly different coloring and patterns on their skin. Remember, patterns are repeated shapes. So if you look, the white lines, that's like the snake's pattern. But they are well camouflaged in the trees, plants, and vines of the forest. This boa constrictor, like all snakes, is a carnivore. It eats other animals such as bats, which are its favorite food, rodents, yes, rats included, lizards, birds, and even small squirrel monkeys. The boa constrictor is mostly nocturnal, so it comes out to hunt when it's getting dark. Like now, snakes can eat animals that are much bigger than they are. This boa's jaws open very, very wide, so that when it finds an animal to eat, even animals such as birds and squirrel monkeys, it will be able to swallow it whole. The boa constrictor is not the only carnivore in the rainforest. In fact, it will have to watch out that it doesn't become dinner for a hungry jaguar. Like this one. Jaguars look a lot like leopards. They have tan fur with dark spots, but they are bigger than leopards with shorter tails and legs and bigger head and paws. This jaguar is about 7 feet long and probably weighs around 200 pounds. The jaguar. Jaguars are very well adapted to living in the rainforest. They have very sensitive hearing and excellent sense of smell. A jaguar can see very well during the day and at night. All these things make it easier for it to find, stalk, and catch its prey. Stalk means to follow. I can barely hear the jaguar moving through the forest. That's because its paws are covered with very thick fur with pads on the bottom. Because they can travel so quietly, jaguars don't have to run far to catch their prey. So instead of having long legs for running, they have short, strong legs that are good for pouncing on other animals from the ground, from trees, or in the water. A jaguar spends most of the day resting and goes out to hunt at night. It's also very good at climbing trees, which means I should get out of here before it's able to sniff me out. I've moved to the bottom of the Capac Tree onto the forest floor because there's one last very interesting animal I want to show you. We'd better hurry. It's getting dark and I may have to use my flashlight to show you. Zoom in a little bit. These are leafcutter ants. These ants burrow underground and make nests in groups called colonies. Different ants in the colony have different responsibilities, just like we have classroom jobs. There are worker ants, soldier ants, and their queen. The worker ants are traveling to the Capac Tree nearby where they will use their sharp jaws to bite off pieces of leaves and bring back to the nest. Did you know that ants can carry up to 10 times their own body weight? That's pretty amazing, isn't it? The soldier ants are there to protect the worker ant on their way to and from the nest. These ants spend most of their lives working for food. Nature is amazing, isn't it? Well, it's really quite dark now, and my fur has been sticking to me since we got here. So I think it's time to leave the hot and humid Amazon rainforest. We've learned a lot about the exotic habitat, its climate, and the plants and animals that have their homes here. Now, for somewhere really different. All right, let's do some questions and see what you learned from this story that Rattenborough showed us all about the Amazon rainforest. So, first, what is a tropical rainforest? If you said a forest that stays warm, wet, and green all the time and has many different types of plants and animals, you're right. Great job. Why is it dark on the ground or the floor of the tropical rainforest? Yeah, the canopy made by the leaves of the tall trees blocks out most of the sunlight. How have the plants adapted to live in the tropical rainforest? Think back to that picture of the raindrop. Yeah, they reach for the sunlight or need little sunlight. They have large leaves that collect as much light as they can, and they have waxy leaves that allow the water to run off, and the trees have large roots. Remember, those leaves are often tapered too. Let's look back at our squirrel monkey. Remember our squirrel monkey? So what food does the squirrel monkey eat in the tropical rainforest? Yeah, it eats insects, fruits, and flowers. Is a squirrel monkey a carnivore, herbivore, or omnivore? Yeah, squirrel monkeys are omnivores. Where do you think the squirrel monkey might find shelter in the tropical rainforest? Yeah, you're right, in the trees. Let's look at that boa constrictor one more time. So what food does a boa constrictor eat in the tropical rainforest? Yeah, it eats small animals. Do you remember what its favorite animal is? The bat. Is the boa constrictor a carnivore, herbivore, or omnivore? It's a carnivore. Where do you think the boa constrictor might find shelter in the tropical rainforest? In the trees, under plants on the forest floor. Remember, so that it can camouflage. I seem to have forgotten what this animal is called. Do you know? It's a jaguar. I remember now. And what food does the jaguar eat in the tropical rainforest? It eats small animals too. Is the jaguar a carnivore, herbivore, or omnivore? Just like the boa constrictor, it's a carnivore. What adaptations do the squirrel monkey, boa constrictor, jaguar, and leafcutter ants have in order to live in the tropical rainforest? I'm going to say that one again because that was a long question. What adaptations do the squirrel monkey, boa constrictor, jaguar, and leafcutter ants have in order to live in the tropical rainforest? Yeah, so the squirrel monkey has strong back legs to run and jump, sharp claws to quickly climb trees, and a long tail to help it balance as it runs along branches or vines. The boa constrictor has jaws that open wide so it can eat its prey whole. And it camouflages so it blends in with its surroundings. The jaguar has sensitive hearing and excellent sense of smell. Its paws are covered with thick fur and pads so that it can sneak up really, really quietly and pounce on its prey. Leafcutter ants can carry up to 10 times their weight so they can bring food back to their colony. Great job. I hope you learned so much from Rattenborough about the Amazon rainforest. Bye.